Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening for this one. And that's where it comes from. That's where we have this pandemic last year. That's where we all have music for hope, and we can see the whole earth just empty. We can see Madrid, Venice, New York, Cape Town, Las Vegas. You saw all of the countries around the world just have this pandemic. We were on fire. We have this bad experience of lockdown in our homes. Maybe it's still right now. And that's where our webinar is coming from. How to have a business continuity in these hard times. Because it all started with me when I feel that humanity can never be defeated by a pandemic for this empty streets, these empty cities, but we still working on. And how we do this? We do this through our technology, through our capability of being who we are. And that's why uh, I choose with my great friend Michele to speak with you about business continuity and how scaling agility can helping you to overcome these hard times we are facing and had facing since 1 year. So I will ask my friend Michele if we are okay, we can start and we have a music for hope. Humanity will never be defeated. We are strong. We are created for life, for having this continuity. And that's where our title is coming from. So I hope you enjoy today with me and Michele. Michele is a great friend and is a great expert in Scaled Agile. Um, Please, Michele, would you like to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, sure. And thank you, Fadi, for inviting me, and happy to be here and sharing these 1.5 hours with you and your friends and your hosts. I'm working at Scale Agile since 3 months now, and before that, I was member of Allays in a big pharma company, so bringing experience on the table. And we are here today just for not presenting you too many slides, but it will be rather a conversation between Fadi and myself, but also very happy to have you participating. We are not too many. So if you have some questions and you have some comments when we are presenting, so please feel free to jump in, feel free to put your questions or your comments in the chat, or unmute yourself and join us in the discussion. So Fadi, if you want to, I will just share my screen and so we can start.
And I will just introducing myself. I am Fadi Ismail. I am from Cairo. I'm a SAFE program consultant. I have been partner with SAFE since 1 year now. Through this year, we have a wonderful time. My company started with hope, with music for hope. And after 1 year here, we just staying together, sharing knowledge and experience as always. I am living in Cairo, and agility is my passion. And here we go. So let's do it, Michele.
So we already presented ourselves. We know also you a little bit more. So, and as Fadi said, I will just tell a couple of words around this slide, which is actually summarizing pretty well what is happening, right? So we were all independently of country, languages, and situations. So we were just overwhelmed by this new normal or new situation. And there are, of course, a lot of losers in this crisis. So a lot of people that lost their jobs, that have been fighting against the lockdown. But there are also on the other side, few companies or many companies that are just booming their business. And now, without going into details, so you can read the numbers by yourself, But I think what is relevant here is that on the one side, we are in the middle of a disruption, right? We are in the middle of the priorities change very quickly for almost all the businesses, and the ones who were able to adapt, they survive. But it's also at the very end, the acceleration of the digital transformation. I mean, if you consider not just the companies on these slides, but in general, all the people staying at home, so all the demand towards additional digital services has been overwhelmed, right? So, Fadi, I don't know if you want to add something about this.
Yeah, I would like to share for the graph, if you can see it, and the graph is just showing how digital transformation is moving fast around the globe. So you can find here, it's in a McKinsey statistics, and you can find here that we moved from 36% around the globe in 2019 to around 60% in 2020. And that's around double of how penetration of digital transformation. And this gave us a feeling of how wording is accelerating to digital transformation. And this is how can work be done. And as Kuter said, you can never use the same management way you have used in the you have using in the past century to manage a new century. So these statistics shown how around the globe from Asia Pacific region, Europe region, and North America region, you can find that accelerating of digital transformation and depending on digital. So now software is the heart of everything. And transformation by heart and soul is all about software. So how can scaling agility help you to continue doing business according to these statistics, which showing that digital transformation is the heart of your business? That's what we are going to show. Back to you, Michele.
Yeah, sorry. I think when we talk about digital transformation, I mean, now is a buzzword, is not a secret anymore. So everybody's pretty aware of what it is. But sometimes we don't think around what does it mean for our organizations, for our enterprises, right? Because in most of the cases, yes, digital transformation is technology, digital transformation is a technical dimension, but there is also the organizational dimension. And it's interesting how to see, this is a study from MIT Sloan that came up early January 2020, so just before the crisis. But it shows how in the study was conducted in almost 120 countries, and more than 4,000 companies were interviewed. But it's quite interesting to know how these companies were evaluating themselves in terms of we are not really ready for that change. We don't have, we are not secure that our organization is ready to compete in the digital economy, but also we might not have the right leadership on board. And I think this is pretty important to know, because we say all the time when we scale agile, when we talk about big organizations shifting, big organizations are like big systems, right? And the only that can change these systems and adapt their way of working towards what is coming. So the crisis in our case with COVID, they are the ones that can change the system. So senior leadership are the only one who can change the system. And if we consider that we are not prepared as an organization, so we will definitely have issues in implementing this, right? So let's have a look. And we didn't prepare, as we told you, too many slides, but we consider that there are possibly 5 different dimensions or 5 different things that we can just tackle, right, Fadi? So.
Okay, so before we having a huge number of tasks and work in progress. So you can imagine we speaking about digital And now digital transformation is in the middle of everything. But you can find that you have a lot of work need to be done. Your teams are just complaining they have much work and they did not bring you the value you are aiming to. So you have just unlimited work intake, and you just keep having more and more and more and more of work, and that's lead to huge pressure, first on your team, secondly in your system, third in your management, because you can never found a revenue for amount of work, given that we are now working from home. Most of us are working from home, so pressure increasing more and more about the team. So Mikel, how scaling agility can help?
Yes, and I mean, we're talking about these 5 dimensions, and here we have the first one. And I think we are also seeing how, at least here in Europe, it was pretty transparent how the organization that were already changing their way of working, or at least were starting this shift, they were better prepared for the new situation, right? And this is just the first of this dimension, which is saying we definitely have to look at what we call the resource utilization, but it doesn't have to be the most important things we do. So as Nickberg says, so we need to find a balance between what we call the resource utilization, but also the throughput. So how many value are we able to deliver to whoever is consuming our work, means final customers, but also internal customers. But also we have to consider the flow time. So how much time are the people just waiting for us? So how big are the initiatives we have on the table? And this is pretty much what we should pivot, and we should focus on probably more strategic or more strategically important initiatives, and not focusing on having too much on the table. So in Kanban, we say stop starting and start finishing, right? So it's demonstrated also, and that's the second important aspect of this, that business is shooting for predictability, right? And if you don't have the ability to have a stable system, you will not be able to be predictable. But how can you have a stable system? A stable system is a system that has a high level of quality as well. So it's not interrupted, is not disrupted, has no start and stop way of working. And this is also pretty much related with the quality. So if you focus on less initiatives, but you start and you finish them, you will definitely have also a positive impact on the quality, right? But do you wanted Fadi to tell a little story around this?
Yeah, I would just to tell a story about a customer I had to work with, and they have a lot of work in progress. And when I asked him why, he just tell me, okay, because we have a lot to do. We are in the middle of pandemic, and everyone is going online, and I need to catch the market and getting my clients. So I keep adding new feature for teams, but they did not give me what I want, and it has been frustrated for 3 or 4 customers. So we work together about the optimum batch size. And batch size is the amount of work that grant that the whole system working as a one unit, which is optimizing the system, not optimizing unit by unit. So we figure out the capacity of his team, and from starting from just having the feature documented till the developer is gonna doing their magic on it, then testing, then releasing. We just figure it out, and the productivity just increased by, I think, 40%. Yeah, 40 or maybe 50%, because there is no chunks, there is no stop points in the system, in the whole system of his production line. It works. So this is what just Michael said. You have to think about the team as one unit, as one system. It's not the developers, it's not the testers, it's not the marketing or business guys. They all one system, and limiting and finding the correct batch size of these persons or this system will lead you to increase your productivity, which will enhance your business continuity because you are not affected by working from home and a huge amount of pressure for everyone we have right now. Back to you, Michele.
Yeah, and another story I can add on this, and is definitely related to a big corporation, but it can be applied also to smaller ones, because nowadays the time is critical. So time criticality plays a very important role, and sometimes we are not fast enough in delivering our solutions and our value because the market is much faster. And I was working with a organization which was pretty much product oriented, and talking with the head of development all the time. He was telling me, so actually what we are trying to do, Michele, is being faster than our marketing department, because when we are not as fast as they are, they will obviously change their idea, but not because they are just changing ideas. It's just because the market is changing. So if we are able to be faster than our marketing people, then we are definitely faster, or at least at the same pace as the market is. But it's also not a question of having the most advanced technology. So I've been working with a pretty large group in Spain, which is focusing on security. And they have told me a very interesting thing. So they actually have a huge technology in their pocket, I would say. But what they do also, they say, we are just taking out the technology based on market needs. So if the old technology is not, let's say, is not old or is still valid, we are not just pushing for new technology. So that made me all the time thinking, because it's definitely about being fast, but it's also being respecting, or better said, aligned with the market rhythms you have. So and knowing your market rhythms is definitely having a huge transparency, or high level of transparency all over the initiative you have, right? And this is another point of this, if you want, Kanban principle that is applied here by limiting work in progress. Okay. So also happy to have your comments and your question, but let's go to the next slide.
If you have any questions, just write it down in chat. And of course, we will back to it at the end. And we will give like 5 or 10 minutes to answer all questions.
Yeah. Let's say if we were talking about delivering value and being fast enough, my question to you would be, do you think that in the traditional way we are normally organized in many organizations, so in silos, and with silos we understand, so having hardware people working by themselves, software people working by themselves, quality people, marketing people, finance people. So do you think that we are best suited for velocity? So are we in a good shape for being faster and being able to deliver fast to the market, or is possibly not the best way to organize yourself?
Well, that's what we have right now. So you can find a lot of functional teams working together, and the point is we are staying at home. Before pandemic, we just gone up from the third floor to second floor. We find the marketing guys. We're saying, "Hello, would you like to have some coffee? What about email you just sent? What about your customer?" And we got this kind of human interaction, which make some silos uh, communicating together. But again, we have a big crowded room fighting each other. Yes, this is what you did to me. This is how customer asked it for. And now We don't have all of this. So scaling agility is just having another way to do business, which is organizing around value. And to explain value to everyone, imagine you wanted to buy a car, you buy a flat, so you go to the bank to get a mortgage loan. So starting by searching for a bank to give you this mortgage loan, till you get this loan and buy your flat, and the bank is just having his interest selling um, you the loan. This is a value. So in business continuity and in the harsh times, we are sticking to deliver the value for our customers. We need to organize around the value. I'm not talking here about the IT guys or developer guys or hardware guys. I'm talking about the customer, about the the customer service, about HR, about marketing people, campaigns. For example, Michele just showed in the first slide that Amazon increased around 2,500 people to meet the huge amount of extended uh, market pressure on them to get services. So if we organize around value, we make this smooth. How is this impacted for business continuity? Because if you have silos not communicating to each other, of course, your productivity will be low because you will find, I can say, connecting points between teams have always a problem. And now you cannot solve it by have a meeting of your kids shouting in the back of you, or your dog just climbing to your laptop and just showing his nice nose in the front of everyone while you just have a meeting. So we need to have the same goal, and the same goal is the same product or service we are delivering to our customer, and that's how we are organizing around value. And let me tell you a small story. I have been working here with an e-commerce company, and they have a multiple products for companies and for individuals. And in the middle of pandemic, they found, oh, okay, everyone is get profit of this because everyone is just on laptops, on their mobiles, buying, buying, buying. But we cannot deliver to our customer, and they come to me and say, okay, we have a problem here. And I was just examine the whole system, and I found that every team is just doing his job, not doing what makes the value or their services affordable to the customer or serve it to the customer. So everyone saying, okay, it's not me, I'm okay. And then I just told them, okay, let's organize around a platform for healthcare items. And let's do it from starting point till the end around value. I get the marketing guys, HR guys, I get the logistics guys, IT, of course, in the heart, and we do it. And the amount of selling in this item just booming. So I had a talk with the director and say, oh, wow, that's much better now. So that's what we talk about when we talk about business continuity. You have to organize your people around a value to deliver. So, Michael.
That's very interesting. I think also, having talked to a lot of companies, especially in the last few months, is interesting how, and obviously possibly more big organization than small ones, but it's interesting how to know. So the ones who had already this mechanism in place, so working in an agile team, so having the, let's say, the cadence as an agile team, so every single day, having daily, twice a month, getting together for presenting what has been achieved within the team, and reflecting in the retrospective, and even planning together. So give kind of a very good mechanism to the companies, so how to stay aligned. Because in our days, nowadays, what is important is also to manage complexity, right? And possibly the companies I've been interacting with in the last few months, they are building complex systems, systems intent like software or even software with hardware combined. Uh, so means that you have not the possibility like in the past to write everything down, to have the people aligned around documents. So this is not possible nowadays, right? And all these companies says the ability for organizing around an agile restraint, so around value, and in team, and giving the cadences, giving the meetings, the occasion we have to come together. And I'm also thinking about the big planning, big PI planning we have on in SAFe in an agile restraint. This is not just aligning the people around what needs to be done, what's the value in there we want to deliver, but it's also giving them all the context, right? So this is the information we are missing normally. This is the information that normally, even if non-agile companies are getting in their offices. So when people are just sitting together. But now, and back to what Fadi says, business continuity means that everybody is working from home. So you have no time anymore to meet colleagues on the floor or in meetings, etc. So all these context, which is given by occasion, I would say, is now coded into your way of working. So is now part of your team DNA, is part of your team of teams DNA, right? And for many organizations I was working with here in Europe, they were just so happy to have these mechanisms in place, because it's not just about technology, it's not just about having Zoom or Teams or Miro or Mural or whatever for collaborating. These all are tools, right? But having the way of working changed, and that even before the crisis, before COVID sent us in lockdown. And this has helped a lot, many companies in coming through the crisis, because these occasions are just giving you the context. And the context in when you are operating and working in a very complicated environment, very complex environment like the ones we are in. So context is everything, because you don't have the answer to every questions, and you have just to say where to go. And we will talk about leadership later, but senior leaders and leadership has a very important role here, because without this context, and the context has to come from the top of the organization, so where to go, then everything else is the same. In my previous company, we had one of the SPP said, we need to have clarity about what we are shooting for, because we have to decide if you want to go to Paris or to Rome, because every road looks fine, right? So, and every team can work the road down. But the only difference is, or the main difference is, you have to give context to these people. You have to give a vision. You have to explain the mission. And this is not always easy. And having this agility mechanism in place, or scaled agility mechanism in place when you have a big organization, that made a huge difference for this company.
And for your question, Samir, let me tell you that we will gonna to discuss it at the end of our presentation, and I am gladly happy to answer your question about the integration. Yes, back to you, Michele.
Yes, and let's go to the before we move forward. I think another point which is important here is, apart from what we already said, and the complexity and the context, is also related pretty much with decentralized decision making, right? So if we, as big or small organization, but definitely more with big organization, are not able to decentralize the decision making, so taking decisions where the problem is, so leaving people sitting very close to the problem, taking that decisions, but also from a leadership perspective, establishing what needs to be decided locally and what still need to be decided centrally. So which is a huge responsibility and not an easy work. That also one of the main differences. And I've been working with a organization this year, at the beginning this year, and they had exactly this problem, right? So they weren't able to, because of their maturity, because of their structure, they weren't able to establish this, because this is not just something is coming from the sky, right? So for decentralized decision making, you have to enable a psychological safety or a psychology safe environment, right? You need to have people feel safe when they are building something, because they need to have the ability to make errors, right? To make mistakes, to take risk, because if you don't take any risk, you won't innovate, right? But this is easy to say, but very difficult to implement. So if you don't have this kind of culture, and in this company was exactly the case, I was interfacing with the people in the development, and also with the senior leadership, and both were complaining, because the leader says, oh, we actually want the people to take decisions, but they don't want to take that decision. But then when you were talking to the development people, they were just saying, so we did it a couple of times, and we take risk, we did fail, and then senior leadership were just punishing us, so we are not going to take any decision anymore, right? So and this is a good example for understanding how important is this environment, and as how difficult it is to generate this safe environment in your organization.
I would like to add something here, Michele. And
Sure.
guys, in his book, David Bank, in his book, Motivate, he was just speaking about one thing which is making people motivating. And this is autonomous. They feel that they have their own decisions to do in the stuff they are doing. And now, if we are speaking about the pandemic, and most of us is feeling depressed, pressured, how to make your people motivate again, this is what Michele just explained. Because if you just give them some decision to be taken, and in agile team, if I am taking integration between security, for example, security systems, and a new development for a product, and one person is just telling me, okay, what you want to do, and I let the security guy took the decision what need to be done, he will be motivated. He is gonna to open his laptop in his room, working hard because he's responsible for this. So this is a human element which is a great effect when you're speaking about business continuity, because business continuity is not about planning, it's not about how much efforts we have done, but how much people are working to achieve it. So think about this aspect as well. Decentralizing decision making is also motivating your people. Back to you, Michael.
Definitely. So I don't know why it's not working.
Let's
Yeah,
have. Wow. Let me take this one. Well, this is my lifetime story. Okay, annual planning. I have been working in organizations that I have the last 3 months of my life doing this cycle budgeting. I need to do budgeting for the whole year, forecasting what will be the next year, and I don't know what will be my lunch. Strange. Anyway, I had to do so, and we had to go for the guys and just our management, our CEOs, and we're saying, okay, this is our budget for the next year. This is how we do our programs. This is growth we are estimating and we are trying to have. And okay, this is what we're going to do. But frankly speaking, we have 3 plus 9, 6 plus 6, 9 plus 3 revision for the budget. You can imagine, we redo the exercises 3 times. We redo it 3 times. Okay, guys. So why are you doing? Oh, that's a revision, but we have the original plan. Oh, wow, great. So the left hand side is just to remind me, with 10 years of my life, I was spending planning annually and having this rigid budget. And the great word, oh, Fadi, that's great, but we don't have budget for this. Oh, Fadi, this may impact really the customer, but oh, we don't have budget. But let me ask to get you a permission. Really? Guys, come on. Wow, that's happening. So annual budgeting and the planning, it's a huge mess. And when we're talking about pandemic, I was speaking with Michele and telling him, okay, Michele, the day before the pandemic in Cairo was a huge rain, and so we had this day off, and then we stayed at home for 5 months. Oh wow! Tell me about your planning. Tell me about your budgeting. Of course, stopped. So, how can scaling agility help us, Michael?
So I think it's also pretty much related with my own experience. So spending a lot of time doing annual planning and annual budgeting, so strategic planning. I think, as you said, so we have seen with COVID that so you can have the best plan you want, but when COVID is coming, you can just throw it away. And with it, the 3-4 months work connected to this because it's just obsolete. And you invested a lot of time in something or trying to look into the future, right? But nobody is able to do so. So instead of concentrating and saying, so we do a annual planning, we say probably is more important to, of course, having kind of roadmap, of course, knowing where we want to go, of course, having clear what are the long-term vision and the long-term mission, and also the strategy to go there, but trying to be as much flexible as we can. And so we propose to see the planning in a different way. So all the time I have to laugh because many people say, actually in Agile, you don't plan, right? And the answer is no, actually we plan more than, or at least we invest more time in planning than you probably do in a traditional working way, but we do it differently, right? And what we do is we have a time box in Agile. So we have periods of time in which a team is working on a particular short-term vision, if you want, which is within an iteration or a sprint, like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever. And but the team is also planning what is going to deliver during this very short period of time. And if we look at SAFe and look at team of teams, so-called Agile Restraint, there is also a time box related to this. It's a little bit longer, but of course also there we are planning. But we are just doing this not because it's fun. We are doing this for maintaining flexibility. And I think this is exactly the point when we talk about business agility. For me, is the true business agility. So business agility is not just making marketing departments agile, right? Business agility is this ability to be able to pivot based on changing priorities. And that was let's say, the added value many organizations had towards COVID. They had the mechanism to pivot quickly. So they have the mechanism based on agile practices and based on their way of working that were able, or putting their teams and their team of teams, etc., in the situation. So they were able to pivot. They were able to change their priorities. I can tell you a little story about Scaled Agile itself. So last year, as you can imagine, Scaled Agile is just providing IPs for trainings. So the main business is related with our partners like Fadi giving training. So when a pandemic is coming, so nobody's doing training in person anymore, so your probably your annual planning is just gone, right? So we were able, of course, we have a small company, but we were able also having this mechanism in place to pivot in within almost a couple of weeks and start working not in what we were pretending to work based on the old planning, but working on the new situation. So providing our partners, and Fadi can confirm this, as many tools or as many possibilities as we could, just for enabling the partners giving this training offline, remotely, right? And this has changed almost everything in our organization from one day to the other. And now for us was relatively simple, but imagine if you are talking about a big company, right? Like a pharma company, like a big logistic company. Yeah, probably logistics are not so impacted by the crisis. But if you have a huge organization, so making this shift is much more difficult. So if you don't have the mechanism, not just on a team level, which is easy, I would say, but among the entire organization, which means not just the IT people, it means finance, means HR, means operations, means marketing, means sales. If you don't have this mechanism, you're not going to be able to pivot, because uh, I have a friend working for a big bank, and he's saying, we are trying to make our agile transformation, but we are not a dolphin. We are a whale, a big whale. So it's not that easy to move ourselves in the right direction. So if you're a dolphin, you will probably react very promptly to any situation you might be facing. But when you're a whale like we are, so lots of people, lots of different business units, lot of different countries, lot of customers. So if you don't have this mechanism in place, it's going to be almost impossible, right? And now I say the numbers we have seen at the beginning. So Amazon is one example, but I can also mention many others. So the huge advantage these companies have is not just the technological one, but also in terms of organization. They can pivot very quickly. They can not just put, like Amazon, every 2 or 3 seconds new features using their fully automated pipeline into production and release to customers. They are also pretty good in changing priorities and changing the way they are focusing on something. That's the difference. That's also the difference. And I'm telling another story related to the automotive industry. So do you know why the people from Mercedes, from Volkswagen, from Fiat, and from all the traditional car manufacturers are afraid of Tesla? Not because of the technology, and definitely not because of the production expertise, because they are much better than Tesla, all the ones I was mentioning. But they have the fear because Tesla is intended as one product. So the car is a platform, is a one-stop shopping platform, so to speak, in which you can, from your auto dealer or even from home, just enabling additional services. You don't need to install anything on the car, right? But this means the way Tesla has been building the car is completely different as the way normal car manufacturers are doing, because car manufacturers like integrators. They build together different parts coming from different sites in the world. They are good at putting them together and put these on a production pipeline, but they're not able to do it fast, right? So for a car, normally you're waiting now almost 4 to 5 years from the idea to delivering the car to the market. Tesla can do this in 20 months. So that's the real fear the automotive industry has from Tesla. And it's definitely the technology, but it's much more the ability to be quick and to react to what the market is asking for, right?
Yeah,
this is if you want. Yeah, go ahead, Fadi.
Michele, I just wanted to add one thing here, and that's was one of scaling agility or business agility for safe principle, economic trade. You have to take the economic decision. Okay, so when we're speaking about the rolling wave and the dynamically of budgeting and adapting to change, we are of course knowing that we are not dolphins, like Michael said, we just whales. Even if you are in a middle company or even a small company, you cannot afford to change budgeting every 3 months or 4 months, but you have to take the decision which grant you the ROI. So leakaging of your money for nothing in the pandemic era is just getting you out of the market. So you have to take the economic decision. And the economic decision is just coming from controlling your money. Imagine, and I'm telling you a very generic example. If you just having in your pocket 100 US dollars and you are in the middle of Berlin right now, okay, are you gonna to plan for staying the whole week with 100 US dollars, or you just planning item by item, which make you have fun first, which grant you more pleasure? This is your ROI, or you get value of your money. So trade-off between what you're spending and what value you create, and you have is just all about planning and budgeting. So when we're speaking about business continuity here, we are saying that save your money for what makes you profitable. This is a concept of business agility.
And this remember me also in another aspect, and then we move to the next topic, which is also not new, but this difference between being agile versus doing agile, right? So trying to emulate other companies that are doing, implementing a new way of working, or are just introducing new mechanism, adopting SAFe or other frameworks. But then just doing this because other do, right? So confusing between the tool, because SAFe is a tool, is an instrument as any other framework. But the question I'm always asked to senior leaders when I go into a new company is, what's the goal? So what's the mission? So what do you want to change? Do you want to be faster on the market? Do you want to be having higher quality? You want both, because this depends pretty much on in the arena or in the market you are in. But sometimes, unfortunately, the answer is, no, we just want to be agile. And they say, okay, but that's the medium, that's the tool, that's the instruments. But what's the real goal? And there are, unfortunately, a few companies or a few organizations, they cannot, I wouldn't say they do not have a mission, because every company has one. But at least they are not all aligned around this mission. And that's the real difference. So if you have a mission, but it's clear to just the senior leaders, and if you ask in the middle levels of the company, or even on a team level, what's this mission, and everybody's giving you a different answer, then probably is a lack of alignment, and that is the problem we were discussing in the previous slide, right? So being aware that SAFe, as many other frameworks, are just instruments, but you have to have very clear what your mission, what your vision is, and even more important, you have to have the right mechanism how to propagate these through the entire organization.
Yeah.
So, but then let's talk about traditional delivery. and incremental solution delivery. So what does it mean? So that's the traditional delivery, waterfall delivery means that you are possibly, working on something. This something is normally has a very huge batch size, so it's a very huge initiative. And you are working on something, and you are just trusting your quality gates. So is this what we call the wishful thinking? So we wish everything will go right. We report just on our project or programs, and we say, I use many times the expression of watermelon reporting. So it's green in the outside and it's red in the inside, right? Because good project managers are just the ones that can prevent what you cannot prevent or what you cannot imagine, right? And this is the problem. The problem is we deliver the value at the very end, and this is increasing a lot the risk we are facing, right? So there is the longer is the period I'm waiting for delivering the value, the higher the risk, and risk in many different ways. So risk that my customer changed his mind, risk that the market is not there anymore, right? Risk that other are faster than you, which is normally the case, and but also risk in terms of we don't really know what we are doing because we are not testing it. We are not, and I'm exaggerating right now, right? But so there is no evidence that we are on the right track. So is this wishful thinking? But there is a better way, Fadi, isn't it?
Yeah, and let me tell you a story about this, because incremental delivery. I was working with marketing agency here in Egypt, and they're having a huge amount of time to market, to release their products and campaigns. Because why? Because they have to go for a huge cycle of creator, designer, and then doing some tests, and then okay, oh, we need to go for a big bang. Oh no, it's failed. Let's go back. So I was speaking to the owner, and I tell him, okay, what about make your team doing it agile? And he was, wow, agile. We are not software company, we are a marketing company. And I tell him yes, because it's all about the business agility you have. So make a small chunk of product which will be delivered to your customer, and then add on and modify it. And that's exactly what happened. And that's exactly how we mitigate risk. I designed the process with him, and after like 4 months, he just sent me an email and say, "Oh wow, that's great! Now I have more control. My customers are happy. They're seeing progress all the time." Because you can imagine if you are in a customer and just someone's coming to you and tell, "Okay, I will deliver it to you after 5 months." You have to stay 5 months seeing nothing, worrying, oh, are they gonna to deliver it good, or maybe they have a problem, so I need to get it back. But, and this is how business agility is working. If you do it in an agile way, having a small chunk batch size, just design your batch size to give a value for your customer. And remember, we are speaking about one unit. We are not speaking about different silos or different islands. No, business agility is one thing. So scaling your agile is not about software. You can do it in a manufacturer line. For example, I know that one FMCG, big companies in the Middle East is doing it on a manufacturer line, on a production line. They just have optimizing the whole chunk of production line to deliver a value, and then getting modification and adding on this value. So incremental solution delivery, and we are not talking here about only software, we're speaking here about everything, is a one way to make your business continue. Imagine, again, we are at homes. Now I heard in the news that Italy is going to for lockdown till Easter. Same Germany, same Austria. Most of Europe is now again in lockdown. So you can imagine how can you deliver a value for your team and for your company, most importantly for your customer. So makes it Baby steps, but concrete steps, as I'm always saying. And this is what all agility is all about. Mikel.
Yeah, and that's remember me also in another aspect of this, because it's not just about delivering value, of course, is it, but there is much more in there. So I've been working with a logistic company here in Europe, and the problem was actually, or the value we get out of this way of working was actually a different one. So we were able, and I'm talking around when I'm talking about agility, I'm also talking about early warning mechanism, right? So in this particular case, so we had a pretty big team of teams working on a new solution. And after 6 months, the teams came up and say to senior leadership, so actually we were working on it. We were doing a lot of exploration work, and we were implementing part of the solution, or supposed to be the solution. But now we can tell you that the way we were going to do this and the technology we choose at the very beginning is it won't work, right? And then interestingly, you have seen two reactions. So some of the senior leaders said, you failed, right? You failed. You have been wasting money and time, and now we need to start from scratch, or we need to start from uh, we need to forget about the last few months, and we need to restart. But then, fortunately, it was even if a much little part, but there were a couple of senior leaders. They said, actually, this is a good news, and the others said, how can this be a good news? They say, well, because in a normal environment, or in a traditional way, it was the way we were used to deliver these kind of big initiatives, big projects. So we would have see these probably in 3 years, right? When we have spent not just the 3 millions we spent in the last 6 months, but we spent 30 millions, right? So this is the other part I with this little story I want to bring to your attention. So it's not just about delivering value faster. It's not just about reducing batch size. It's not just about getting feedback earlier. It's also about being aware and being warned way before with the normal mechanism. Uh, of course, we have also in the agile world milestones. Okay, if you have a fair you have to accomplish, or when you have some deadline, and think about here the especially during the lockdown time, you just not have milestones, but these milestones or the deadline are moving all the time, right? So if you don't have a mechanism for being aware, where are we moving towards the right goal, are we moving in the right direction, so are we choosing the right things to do? So if you don't have this mechanism, you're is just a blind flight, and you're just putting money into things that probably are not relevant at all. uh, so being aware also of these early warning mechanism, on this risk reduction mechanism, because this is huge, and this is probably something that senior leaders should pay attention more than other. Just this piece of advice on top of.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. So we're only 20 minutes to finish, and yeah, wow, this is my slide. Well, blaming culture. Okay, guys, we are working in a blaming culture, and no one wanted to get responsibility for what he has been ordering. So he is always saying to someone, "Oh, this is your fault. Oh, this is your fault." Today I was just reading in the newspaper that Volkswagen is just dropping down 5,000 employees.
Mm.
I don't know why, but I'm just gonna to looking for news about it. But anyway, blaming culture. And in the middle of pandemic, in the middle of stressing time, can you imagine that you staying at home feeling, or you just thinking about vaccination, you're just thinking about how to deal with your partners, with your team, with your suppliers, and then just out of nowhere, your manager asks for a meeting and start shouting at you. This is actually is not helping for continue business, because you will find yourself in middle of nowhere just hating what you're doing. So one aspect of business continuity as well, and this is what I'm thinking on, is to have this safe environment. So Michele, tell us more about it.
Yeah, that's very interesting, because actually it's also pretty much related with productivity and with innovation, if you want, which is, I would say, probably the two most important aspects in this crisis. So, um, and this is an argument also senior leadership understand, or should understand at least. So we are definitely working towards our mission, and we are working on our vision, and we want to achieve this vision, and we want to be flexible enough just to change the strategy to get the mission accomplished. But then it's going to be difficult if we don't have the right culture in our organization. So Peter Drucker said, culture actually eats strategy for breakfast, right? So you could have the best strategy in this world. You could have the best ideas how to implement your different activities for reaching the mission you have. But if you don't have the right organizational culture, and culture means you don't have, culture is also to be intended as the personality of your organization, right? So if you don't have this, you're not able to do almost anything. So you're not just having poor level of innovation, or you have poor productivity, or very, very low organizational performance. You also have people that are not motivated. That's the root cause. But say that what we need to do and need to understand, and I'm saying especially senior leadership, is to change the system. What do I mean with that? So if you don't have a system intended as your organization, right, small or big, it doesn't matter. But if you don't have the right mechanism in place, so if you don't allow this psychological safety, which is allowing then trust, and with trust you enable your people just to take decision on a decentralized level, you will never get there. And who is able to change the system? Who is able to introduce this mechanism? Senior leadership. So you might have good mechanism or good practices on a team level, but this is changing almost anything on a systemic level, right? If we think on the organization in his entirety. So this is important, and important is to say we need to have this psychological safety put it in place, because only having this, we are going to accelerate, we are going to enable our people to take their own decision when they are sitting close to the problem. So without this trust, and trust is only possible if this psychological safety is there, it's not going to work, right? But this is also, and another example, it's just giving by your example as a senior leader. So I've been working with a not too big company, but kind of very, very, can I say, a very modern company dedicated to car sharing and other, so scooter sharing, etc. So quite a modern technology, and also the modern way of thinking, so if you want. But what we did there was to have the board of directors organized as an agile team, right? Because they understand. So if we are asking people to organize themselves differently and being empowered and taking their decision, so we also have to show that what we say is not just theory. We are also applying this. And I'm not saying that the board of directors were just doing every single day a DSU, so a daily stand-up, or every second week doing iteration planning. No, but they embraced the principle. So they started make transparent almost every decision they were taking. So they were giving context to the people. They were participating, not just to the team or the team of teams ceremonies when applicable or when relevant, and not asking for separate ad hoc meetings, which is also let's say not compatible with the new way of working. So they were really embracing the practices and the principles, and this had a huge impact on everyone on the team, on the different teams, because they
Yeah.
said, okay, we are working like this, but they are also working like this. So this leading by example, which is one of the three dimensions for lean agile leadership, is exactly this. So not just being authentic, not just being empathic, but also just doing probably exactly the same, embracing the same principle, embracing the same way of working. And that's what's making a huge difference, right?
Yeah, let me tell something here, Michael, because some guys say, oh, this is not going to be happening in our organization. Oh, yeah, you're speaking about the dreams or in heaven. But now, can you tell me that my boss will have the same environment? I tell you something here. This is harsh. And that's why we found some companies is booming and some is just deteriorating and just vanish out of market. So when we're speaking about the safe environment, and I think this is last, I think we have one more slide, or this is, I think this is the last
That's the
one.
last one, yeah.
Yeah, so we will take question in 2 minutes. But before we ending, I would just wanted to tell you some story happened here in Egypt. And I was working with one communication company, huge one, and we have created a safe environment. And you cannot imagine how much it just boomed the productivity, because you don't have to tell your manager why it's wrong. No, just tell your manager how does it will work,
Mm-hmm.
how does it will happen. This small shifting, it's great. And I mean, you cannot start if you don't have the faith it will happen. So if you are a middle manager, just create a safe environment with your team. If you are a leader, create a safe with your team. In a real project, I was telling you that, and this is a question from the audience, a real project, I tell you that we have a multi-project with like 10 suppliers. They have money stopped because of COVID-19 and frustration all over the way. And everyone is just asking for their money because they want cash flow
Mm-hmm.
problems and they want to get their money. And I was speaking to the leader, and he was just having the whole team, suppliers, in one room and start to speaking with them to find a solution, to give the safe environment for him and his team as well as his suppliers. Okay, so when we speak about business continuity, don't think about the team of developers, don't think about the team of 5 people, 6 people. We're speaking here about every dynamic in the business.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is a real situation happen. I was witnessing it. He was just join the meeting, and everyone is just joining the meeting and say, okay, we know we all have a problem, but if we start complaining and just suing each other, sending warnings to each other, we will not move an inch. What you want us to do? So everyone is just standing back. They don't expect this and saying, oh, okay, let's think about 1, 2, 3. You need this to get a product to the market, so it will get back to you some cash. So we agree about a new terms and condition. And this is exactly what safe environment is. Safe environment is not a blaming one. Safe environment is how to make your business work, how to let everyone feel he is responsible as much as you, and you are responsible for the decision as much as your team member, as your partner, as your supplier. This is happen. And finally, this is all what we have for business agility. So Michele, do you have last words before we go for questions?
No, actually, I would say, as we have just 10 minutes, it's probably worth to, I mean, I know, Fadi, we could talk about this for hours.
Yeah.
But definitely we should keep some time for questions, or even for somebody who wants to add his own experience, or hearing just from them if they have something to add. So I will just stop sharing.
Yeah. So I will say thank you for everyone on Facebook, and we continue with our guys here. So okay, guys, for whom wanted to have a question, just open your mic and ask a questions. We are here to answer all your questions.
Yeah, I see in the chat there is one question. Can you please talk about integrating agile and security, especially in software development? So I don't know.
Well, let me take this question. Okay,
Yeah, sure.
I tell you something. Security guys are usually tending to have this harsh thinking about threat, and always they thinking, oh, okay, have you checked this new feature with the whole security systems? Okay, let me do my sanity checks. Okay, let me do this assessment, and then I back to you. And in the middle of pandemic, wow, it takes years. So to integrate between the security team, and remember, we speak about autonomous, we speak about he is one of the team now, and this is a huge difference between speaking to someone he's doing his job or owning his job. So Samir, you're just asking this question, so I'll tell you, okay, bringing the outsider in, he will not only thinking about the security, he will thinking about the whole team and the value. And business agility just saying we need to put some KPIs on this agile team, so the security team member will have the same KPI as a developer, as a tester, as a business owner, as a product owner, to get this one to the market. So he will make his best effort to do what it takes to have an integration. At starting, you will find a lot of storming between team members, but keeping consistently stressing on the agile mindset and having a true value for both of them, the security guy and the developer, they will do great. I have witnessed this in more than 10 or 15 companies. They have problems in first month, but they're working together afterwards great, because everyone just know how to work with his team member, not with his another department. That's the difference. Back to you, Michele.
Cool. I don't know if there are other questions you might have.
Guys, we are not that much, so it's open your mic and just feel free to say good or bad. We are happy here. We still agile, so whom wanna start? Just popcorn style. Open your mic and say it. Any questions? Samir, Oscar, Omar, Muhammad, Hassan, Misbah Ali.
And also, if you want in Arabic, so I won't understand, but then Fadi can translate.
Yeah, sure.
So, quick question regarding the new version, say 5.1.
Yeah.
There is now a new division of the value streams. So we have development value stream and operational value streams.
Mhm.
What we are doing that looks like we are back to what it was at the beginning.
So I can take, thank you, Oscar, for the question. So actually, is nothing new. I mean, we had in SAFE all the time this difference between operational value stream and development value stream. Now in 5.1, in the big picture, we just made it much more clear that we differentiate. And let me just explain what's the difference is. So, and where SAFE is focusing more. So the operational value stream is where you earn your money as a company. Think about if you have a call center, so your operational value stream is starting with some clients asking for something, depending on the call center you have. Then you have all the steps in between. So because a value stream is just is made out of a trigger, which would be your clients, different steps. And steps in the call center could be, you have a system just for intake in the calls. You have operators taking the calls. They have probably a way of doing, so process they have to follow. So up to the client is happy. He is probably paying for something, or you giving just value to them in terms of solving problems or whatever. And the value stream is ending with the delivery of value. If you consider another different business, think about retail. So in retail, it's pretty easy. So you have a customer who wants to buy something. His journey is starting possibly even earlier than entering in your shop. But then you have all the steps. So kind of marketing is pushing out a campaign. Then you have a product placement in your shop. And you have people facing with the customers when he wants to buy something. And at the end, you have, again, the customer paying money for the product or the service, right? So, and this is the operational value stream. Now, SAFE is focusing more on what we call development value stream. What are these development value stream? Well, the development value stream is the value stream that is providing solutions to these call center operational value stream or to the retail value stream. I make you another example. So I was working for a big pharma company, so who was, among others, running pharmacies all over Europe. And the problem the operational value stream had was we have our pharmacist pretty much concentrating on doing administrative stuff, right? So they are almost investing their 50% of their time in just administrative work. But actually, they studied pharmacists not just for doing administrative work. They studied pharmacy for interact with patient and with clients, right? So they needed a new system, a new solution, because not just the system is a process, is combined with system that make this amount of administrative time much less than 50%. So the development value stream, and the trigger in this case was the pharmacist asking for new solution, and the value was delivering this solution to the pharmacist, and all the steps in between were to create that solution. So in that solution was a combination between systems, new processes, and you need to have all the people on these development value streams. So you need to have all the people needed for delivering that solution. And it's not just about developers, it's also about testers, it's all about business analysts, but it's also about having pharmacists on the development value stream. Why? Because you need to know the environment you are going to implement these new solutions. So if you are not aware about what's the business process in a pharmacy, you probably will never get the right solution to these people. And I tell you another example about this. So I was working for a big airline in Europe, and we had also to implement a new solution for pilots and technical staff they needed to use on the plane. And also in this case, we had on the development value stream. So the development value stream is organizing around value, and it could be one or more teams working together. But in many of the teams working together, we have pilots also in there. Why? Because if you don't know how is a cabin in a plane organized, you also will never come up with the right solution for these people. So saying that is the development value stream is where SAFE is focusing on, because it's the one who is providing new solutions. And we are touching only not too much the operation value stream, which is the one which facing the client, who is generating the revenues, so to speak. It doesn't mean that we are not interacting with them, because pilots and pharmacists are part of this operational value stream. But we are with SAFE more focused on the development value stream. Say that we are evolving also the framework towards what we call business agility, because we understand that it's not just about changing the way we are delivering solutions, is in most of the cases also considering this in an holistic way. So operational and development value stream together. I hope I was able, even if in 5 minutes, Oscar, to explain you a little bit better around these two, quite difficult concepts.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You know something, Michele? When I saw the last modification, before this, when I was having my SPC, I was thinking, why are we thinking about operational that much? While we are gonna for developing something first, we need to have arranged our house internal and then go to the customer. But when I found this 5.1, and thanks, you just explain it in a very nice way. I was just, the inner child inside me was just saying, yes, this is what I was thinking, and I was true. Because, and this is the thing here. If you do not know how to do it, don't go for your customer to do it. So first arrange yourself inside, and then go for your customer.
Yeah, it's also what you were presenting before is about giving context as well, right?
Yeah.
If you don't know the operational value stream, you probably cannot deliver any new solution to them.
Yes. So if anyone has question, or we just say thank you to all of you, because we already on time, and thanks to everyone staying with us here. And you will find, I will send the link via email so you can get this presentation again. Thank you, and thanks, Michele, for this interesting webinar. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
And goodbye.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Fadi, for hosting the webinar, and I hope to meet you soon again.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.